Good morning. So, how does a simple low-tech idea become a societally useful medical invention? No rocket science, no big company, no research lab facilities, no institutional backing, no godfather, and no one to seek guidance from. Yet, we have a patented invention which is better than the imported alternative and has made cataract surgery easier for the surgeon, safer for the patient, and 80% cheaper for healthcare systems. I don't have an answer to how, but what I will do is recount a few experiences and share wisdom from hindsight. For those of you who are tireless in your pursuits but are yet to meet with success, I urge you to hang in there for just a little while. As you will see, I've been beaten and bruised time and again, but I just hung in there to give it one more try. But then, in times of crisis, there have been angels who have appeared from nowhere and pulled me through. And you, my fellow colleagues, ophthalmologists, have been the greatest angels, time and again. You have made this invention a reality. This invention largely belongs to you. I'm an eye surgeon and innovator by choice, but an entrepreneur purely by circumstances. There never was a plan. I just set sail in uncharted waters. That made it exciting, but it was agonizing at times, and sometimes very scary too. Was it worth it? Absolutely yes. Every bit of it. So what does it take to be an inventor? Let's see. Anyone heard of a self-expanding pupil expander? A tiny device injected into the eye spontaneously expands, engages the pupil, and results in a dilated pupil. Any of you heard of this? You've heard of this, self-expanding? Can I see a show of hands? Good, that's good. What you're using is a BX pupil expander. It's not a self-expanding pupil expander. This is self-expanding. It sounds fantastic. Sounds like a dream. The question is, how many of you believe in this dream? I believe in this dream. My granted patent already discloses such a device, and all we require is a lab and a team of material scientists, and we'll be able to do it pretty soon. If you dream, there is a possibility that they may come true. So give dreams a chance, by all means. Did I have other dreams? Of course I had. Some were on paper napkins, some went to the notebook, some went to patent filing, some went to prototype. But they were all failures. Failures taught me incremental lessons. That did not stop me from dreaming. Dream we must. Despite failures. So how does one dream sensibly? Identify the necessity, assess societal or market value, possibly both, get a test of gross feasibility. It's necessary to protect your idea at all times. Look at failures. What didn't work yesterday could work today. FICO is a classic example of that. I thought for years, worked day in and night, drawings, didn't sleep at night, woke up in the middle of the night, stayed awake all night for a simple pupil expander that would be machinable and cost effective. 5 years, and I didn't have any breakthrough. And then
You started your place, what you do?
one fine day, this fateful day, we were returning from a holiday in Darjeeling,
Your husband's not an officer, no?
and I suffered
that
a
is
heart
what-
attack
what he's
on the
doing.
train.
He's a doctor.
I survived 6 hours of excruciating angina, underwent a coronary angioplasty with a stent. As I lay in the coronary care, I told myself, hey, you're not going anywhere without finishing this job. Probably the realization that I was living on borrowed time made me think coherently. And eureka, I had nailed it. All other existing devices had a biplanar device, and that would snag the incision, the slit corneal incision, it would snag it, and the injector was provided to circumvent just that. If I had a uniplanar device that would not snag the incision and would not require an injector, that's it. So at this point, I had two choices: to brood over my cardiac status and bury this idea, or
I'm just wondering how he
bring this idea to
with
fruition.
that photograph. And something is wrong somewhere at many levels.
Initially, I thought I'll make a few drawings, file a patent,
So you
and
were very
some big
You're
company
next somewhere?
would buy my patent for a pot full of
I
money.
saw,
and I'll be
I
done.
heard a presentation. You set
So
the pace right. And same here.
they would do the R&D because they had the
Also, I don't know
resources.
anything about panoptics and I'm talking about it.
Wishful thinking.
Last minute.
That
Morning-
never happened.
Morning message, no? No, I've implanted one piece.
I had to work
That's
on all
better than
4
most.
fronts simultaneously,
Yeah, see?
and each one of them
Absolutely.
would throw up new surprises
That's disturbing.
every day. I would hit a wall and take a step backward and improvise. That became a daily event.
I use your
This is how
references,
things
your Just
went.
Dial and wherever, those
Every day
my stuff every
I
day.
would
Say, "Look at this
improvise.
and Look at ours, you have 80.
How long did it take to read that slide? 30
I'm doing
seconds?
Google only now.
It took me
For me, it's
5
Google now.
years to read that slide.
Yeah, I'm not doing Just Dial, no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing, just Google.
I was told by a device
Business start
manufacturer,
running up, कि आपको हमने Google पे देखा।
the jig for this design is
Competition
impossible.
3.7, we have 4.8, तो देखते आ जाता है।
Fortunately, I grew up in an environment which I would call as tinker friendly. My 85-year-old father still says nothing is impossible, and take the journey, even if it means going alone.
I'm nothing rehearsed like this.
He encouraged me to tinker.
Nothing rehearsed like this.
Electricians and plumbers rarely got a call from our house,
I know.
and my mother would laugh off collateral damage. Of course, my wife, she kept me in regular practice. Of course, she always said, go chase your dreams, and I'll take care of the rest. She's a great team player, and I owe her a lot. So, I wasn't making much progress with my skills and knowledge. I started looking outside the medical device industry. Mr. Maheshwari is a self-made plastic man, and he agreed that this scale was too small for stamping or molding. And then he said, why don't you do it yourself? Take a piece of nylon, wind it on a nail, and put it in the kitchen oven. I just drove back home and did just that. And that's my first spring, made out of 3/0 nylon suture. I was excited. Makeshift lab at home, crude working stations, and equally unconventional tools. I started churning out design after design. I was going crazy. I wanted to get that notch, the right size, the right dimensions, the right shape. For 2 full years, I would finish work by 6 p.m. on a Saturday and enter my lab, and to come out only at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. Every weekend for 2 years. How true. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. These are only some of the designs that were rejected. It was very painful. You work on a design for so long, spend so many hours, and then you have to reject it. It broke me from inside. It was disheartening. It's important how we deal and prepare for setbacks and failures. My patent application got rejected right in the beginning. I was destroyed. I had high hopes for ESAS 2013, and it turned out to be a damn squib. Journal of Cataract and Refractive Surgery and Indian Journal of Ophthalmology both rejected my papers initially. Talked to a lot of big companies, a lot of due diligence, but nothing materialized. Churchill said, success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Initially, I used to be very disheartened and depressed after a failure, and it would take me days to get back on my feet. Slowly, I learned to anticipate failures and have a plan B in place. At the Retina Foundation, when I was doing my Retina Fellowship, I learned from Dr. Nagpal that if I looked at a problem from different angles at different times, I would see the solution staring at me eventually. And that helped me immensely. There was sunshine after rain, as always, and I did make successful designs for my own trials, and then for trials in Europe and India. Some of my colleagues over here are there who were kind enough to participate in the trials. I made 300 pieces manually, each one requiring 1 hour, with a 30% rejection rate. It was painful but rewarding. But I was still far from my dream. A simple, machinable, and cost-effective device. I tried various technologies, metal etching, 3D prototyping. There was hardly any material which could offer the right kind of resilience and flexibility that I was looking for at that dimension. After a lot of research and work and expensive prototyping, finally we had this version, which is a machined version without a joint and is 1/10 the thickness of any available device in the market. Thank you. Now, I needed to file my PCT application, patent application, in a hurry. The patent lawyer I chose sat over my application and did nothing. I got disgusted and I said, I'm going to do this on my own. It was like writing a thesis. I had to research and read a lot of related and unrelated patent, study them, get a hang of it, and then run to the patent office, discuss with the officials over there, and eventually I filed my PCT application, I think within 15 days or 20 days, without any legal assistance. I got an unfavorable initial report on patentability. That was disheartening. It destroyed me. My dream of creating a groundbreaking invention was just shattered. I had fallen. But I pulled myself together and got up and said, I'm going to file amended applications at the national phase in all countries, respective countries which I chose. This was going to be very expensive and had every chance of being a total waste. So I sat with my wife and worked on my expenses. Remember, I was spending less time on my practice also. So I hired patent firms to do this for me, but then I had to do most of the work myself. It hurt, I paid them so much of money and I had to do all the work. I had to research and find legally correct arguments and claims to respond to each one of the examiner's objections. But then it was a learning experience and I gained hugely from that. Invaluable experience.
Can you sum up, please, sir? Can you please sum up, please?
Oh, yeah. So it was, it required changing the mindset of the colleagues, and I'm happy that some of our colleagues over here participated in trials and again helped take this forward and convince other colleagues. We need to promote our work, we need to publish, we need to talk, and awards serve as a shot in the arm every time. Applying for grant funding is a very good source of validation. It gives insight into your work, and they're there up for grabs. We are thankful to the BIRAC and the Department of Biotechnology, FITT and IIST, from whom we got a grant. And I took my idea to the global leader and competition and checked if they were interested in a Better People Expander. I got a very handsome offer, only to realize that this was actually, I possibly thought, to possibly kill my invention. So I backed off. Other companies were interested only in the finished product. So I had to do business, I had to learn business, and so I applied for the IIGP 2016 program, and fortunately we bagged all the 3 awards. And it was a learning experience. This was conducted by FICCI, Department of Science and Technology, Lockheed Martin, Indo-US Science Technology Forum, and this training with Stanford Graduate School of Business, IC Square Institute, University of Texas in Austin, and Thai Silicon Valley was a learning experience. MedInvent Diocese is a lean startup. Between my wife and me, we take care of a lot of jobs over here for no remuneration. Till date, every BX has been personally inspected and loaded by me. We are scaling up for global sales. We are always happy to collaborate with individuals or companies. Each one of you can support or foster innovation directly or indirectly. Create a thinker-friendly environment at home and in your workplaces. Please never ever rebuke a failed inventor. They are the unsung heroes. They have taken the hit and flagged the others towards the successful path, the right path. Provide help in any which way you can, funding, guidance, connections. Innovators are often very lonely and helpless. Pay a fair price, respect the work, and remember, we often spend more on popcorn and a movie ticket, which has less lasting value. Don't, of course, reuse a device. That's the surest way to kill innovations and discourage innovations in this country. Lastly, I believe there is no perfect way to innovate. There is only the passionate way. Thank you very much for your kind input.